Good afternoon. It appears that Fred has started to arrive, and we got a little bit of rain on the way over here, but we'll be safe inside the Storm Dome, except for, I think it's that seat right back there that gets dripped on. So if you have to move, then I'll understand, but we do appreciate everybody coming out this afternoon to help us kick off the 2021-22 academic year. Welcome back to campus. Welcome to the new school year. We're still not all together like we used to get together, but it's better this year than last year. 2 years ago, we were all together. I think we were still over in Jackson Hall at that time. We were really together. That was August 15th of 2019, 2 years and 1 day ago. We did this all together in Jackson Hall. So we've been through a lot in the last 2 years, and we still are being careful, and that's appropriate. Our classes are scheduled to start on Wednesday, but even as we look ahead to that, which is always an exciting day when classes are here and students are in the classroom, it has already been a great start to this new year. The residential leaders have been on campus for a couple of weeks now. Thunder Camp wrapped up just 1 week ago, and we really had an exciting and fun move-in day on Friday. Freshman orientation is now in its third day, and I can report that the energy, the enthusiasm, and the excitement of this new class of Hurricanes is outstanding. And the student leaders that are working with them are doing an incredible job of bringing this new class of students into the Hurricane family. So we're excited, very excited about what we have to look forward to. Before we get too far into this, I do want to recognize and thank our State Representative Mike Chokas for joining us today, and we appreciate all you do for the university. Thank you for being here. Now, Mike, I'm going to talk a little bit later about some of the work that you guys did, so it's just between us. All right, very good. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the University System of Georgia COVID policies as we move into this new semester. I sent these out in an email, I don't know, seems like 2 weeks ago maybe, 10 days, I don't know. But I wanted to make sure we went over them again, just so that we're all aware. Now, as you know, employees of the university system are strongly encouraged to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The GSW Health Center will be offering free Moderna COVID-19 vaccinations on Tuesday, August the 17th, that's tomorrow, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can call the health center to set up a time for your appointment. I've been monitoring and visiting with our local hospital, and they certainly are feeling the effects of this most recent surge I shouldn't say surge would be offended by that, but by this most recent increase in COVID, and they report that they are handling as many patients now as they have any time since this started. But they also tell us that 90% of the patients with COVID that are in the hospital are unvaccinated. And of the 10% that are vaccinated that are in the hospital, they have pre-existing physical conditions that make them much more susceptible to the virus, or at least to the damage of the virus. So I would encourage you that if you are interested to go ahead and get the vaccination, it's available here on campus. As a reminder, the COVID-19 vaccination leave is currently available to all employees. So if you choose to take the vaccine and need to be out for a day as you recover, you can take that leave and it won't cost you your sick days. This leave is not permanent, and most likely it will expire on August the 29th at the end of the state of emergency for continued COVID-19 economic recovery declared by the governor. As for reporting illness or reporting exposure, employees who have been exposed to COVID-19 or who are ill and need to quarantine while seeking medical guidance should report their status to Gina Wilson in Human Resources. Gina will provide the guidance to you in accordance with current Georgia Department of Public Health guidelines. Every case is unique, so please contact Human Resources to discuss your particular situation so that proper guidance can be provided. You know, one of the things that we are not doing this year is when students report to us that they have to be out with COVID, we are not going to provide to you, a faculty member, the date at which the student is supposed to return to class, because each individual person can quarantine or get out of quarantine at different times based on their own individual situation. So it would be very difficult for us to provide that specific information, and that is going to be true also for all of us as employees. Some general information, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. No student, no faculty member or staff member should be treated differently based on their COVID-19 vaccination status. Students should not be asked about their vaccine status and are not to be segregated in the classroom or from other instructor-student interactions, including office hours, group work, field trips, labs, etc., based on their vaccination status. Masks and face coverings are not required on campus, but unvaccinated individuals are strongly encouraged to continue wearing a mask or a face covering. We do have some students that will be involved in external clinical placements or working in schools or internships. And any student who is working in those conditions with a partnering organization that does require masks or vaccinations, the student must participate in that company's or businesses or schools' requirements in order to participate in their internship program. If you need to take leave, COVID-19 specific leave for isolation and quarantine is no longer available. If teleworking is not possible, employees who must isolate or quarantine due to COVID-19 must use their accumulated leave while they're away from work. Faculty members, you cannot change the modality of your class. Any change in modality for a class requires approval from the provost's office. Change in modality is subject to an end date and is correlated to your isolation or quarantine timelines. Deans or department chairs will make arrangements for your class coverage if you are unable to teach due to illness. No student, again, I want to make sure we all get this, no student should be treated differently based on their COVID-19 vaccination status, and students should not be asked about their vaccine status or segregated in the classroom. GSW continues to maintain a significant supply of cleaning items, hand sanitizer, masks, and other types of PPE. If you don't have them in your building or in your classroom and you need them and would like to have them, please contact Mary Cooper at extension 2308, and she will make sure that you get those materials. I want to thank Mary for her work over the last 2 years in coordinating all of this and making sure that we are staying as safe as we can in our facilities. So I didn't cover all of them. If you need the entire list and the entire email of USG COVID policies, I'm certain that I can find it and send it again. So if that's something you need or would like to have, please let me know. All right. Beyond COVID, we still have a lot of other things to do today. So let's get started first with some introductions of some of our new employees. I'm going to ask Dr. Suzanne Smith to come forward and get us started.
All right, good afternoon. So I'm happy to talk about the Division of Academic Affairs. Since we were together last August, Dr. Gaynor Chokas we've removed the interim title from her position, and she's now the permanent dean for the College of Business and Computing, and she's doing a fantastic job in that office. We also have Dr. Judy Orton-Grissett, who has moved from psychology into a permanent position in Office of Academic Affairs as the Director of Experiential Learning. Probably a lot of you have seen her out and about around campus or attended workshops she's done or seen emails about TILT, our internships, our experiential learning. So you can look forward to many emails from her over the years to come. We've also had a new person in the Office of the Registrar, Lindsay Slatton, who is the sport specialist and transfer coordinator. She came to us from ASU. She's the transfer evaluator for COBAC, and she also is our degree works scribe, among other duties to be assigned. So now we're going to hear from our athletic director.
Good afternoon. We have 4 additions to the athletic department that we'll introduce today. First, our new head women's soccer coach, Carrie Edwards. Carrie's standing up back there. Carrie graduated from Dallas Baptist University, where she was a NCAA record setter as a goalkeeper. She has her master's degree from the University of North Alabama, and she came to us from Northwestern State in Louisiana. Her assistant coach, who's also a residence life assistant, Andrew Sendek. Andrew, standing up there next to Carrie. Andrew comes to us from Lincoln Memorial University, where he's working on his MBA, and prior to that he got his undergraduate and graduate degree from West Virginia University. Our head women's cross-country coach, Savannah Ross. Is Savannah here? Savannah's working her other job. Well, Savannah ran cross-country for us for 4 years under Coach McDonald. She started about 3 weeks ago as our head women's cross-country coach. And our last addition, Tyler Bender, as the baseball assistant coach. He's not here today either. Tyler comes to us from the University of Cumberland in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and he received his undergraduate degree at Alabama State University, where he was a 4-year pitcher. So those are our 4 new additions in athletics. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Got a few new additions in the business and finance area in the last year. We'll start with accounting services. Christy Berry, who is certainly no new employee, but she moved over from the student accounts director role after being in that position for over 7 years. In human resources, we have Kadeem Williams, who is our HR assistant. He is a GSW grad. He joined us in May. From our golf course, we have Trayvon Jackson that's joined us on the maintenance crew from another golf course in the area. He's been with us since February. In student accounts, our new director as of about a month ago, Jamie Kinsley. Is Jamie here? She joined us from ABAC, where she served as Assistant Student Accounts Director. In public safety, we have a couple new officers in the last year. We have Mark McCardle that joined us in January. He is retired from the Americas Police Department. And our newest officer, Alexander Stewart, joined us just last month. He was previously with the Sumter County Sheriff's Department. A couple other notes, Chief Michael Lewis, who about a year ago was an interim public safety director. He was promoted to the permanent position effective January 1st. And then we mentioned the comptroller position earlier. That position came open because Colette Long, after many years of service as comptroller and prior to that payroll and IT, she retired in March. But fortunately, she rejoined us in a part-time budget manager role in mid-April. So that concludes the business and finance area.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephen Snyder. We have a few new hires in the advancement area this year. The first is Kirsten Rowland, and Kirsten is a GSW graduate. I told her I wouldn't make her speak today, but I am going to make her stand up, so stand up, Kirsten. Kirsten is a Georgia Southwestern graduate from Leesburg, and she is doing a good job organizing much of our donor stewardship and advancement processes. She started in February of this year. Our next hire, who actually started before Kirsten, is Ashley Stallings. Ashley, if you'll stand up. Ashley is a Georgia Southwestern graduate as well, and she is from Jackson, Georgia, but she's lived and worked in Americas for several years. She started in October 2020 and has done a really good job managing our accounting operation in the foundation. So we're certainly glad to have both of them, and we've got one more new hire that Chelsea's going to announce here.
Good afternoon. So I'll be introducing Haley Henderson. She joined us almost a year ago, back in September. Some of you may be familiar with her as she has led and overseen the website redesign project, and she has worked with you on that. So she's done a really good job with the help of our student worker, Bryce Bass. But Haley graduated from Mendel, Georgia State University with a Bachelor of Science in New Media and Communications back in 2015. She worked at Sly County High School. For 4 years, she was teaching yearbook and video production. She was a graphics arts instructor. Is that right? And then she's worked with other small businesses and nonprofits since then. But we're glad to have her, and thank you for everything that you've done on the website. Good job.
The latest addition to the IIT staff is Micah Whitaker. Micah's here. He's doing a great job for us. Many of you have seen him out on campus, and so if you see him, say hello and welcome him aboard. Thank you, Micah.
Good afternoon. I want to recognize the Student Engagement and Success team. Dr. Weaver mentioned enrollment, move-in, Thunder Camp, orientation. well over 85% of the staff and student engagement and success have been working nonstop, not only all summer, but most of them since August 1st haven't had a day off. And so in order to get our students prepared for the start of class, there's a lot of behind the scenes happening, and I just want to tell the team, thank you, and your work is not gone unnoticed. So over the past year, we've had some turnover and some great people join our team that I want to introduce. So in first year experience, Courtney Harmon is our assistant director. She actually came back to us from working in admissions several years ago. Milena Gilly is starting today as our academic resource coordinator. Welcome to the team. And then Tammy Middleton starts tomorrow. She came today to join us, so welcome, Tammy. In financial aid, Alan Killingsworth is our assistant director, and he joined us in November. And then in the recruitment admissions area, Aaron Andrews joined the team in September as our CRM and communications coordinator. In residential and campus life, Shannon Griffin, is Shannon here? There she is. Shannon joined us this August, full-time with the team. Michaela Barlow joined us last August, but after the start of our meeting, so welcome, Michaela. Matt Klein joined us in the fall as well, so we have a whole residential coordinator team in place. And Ariana Stiegel, is Ariana, Ari here? Ari's here, coordinator of our fitness and wellness programs, doing great things in that area as well. And then our student rights and responsibility, Travis Crafter. If you haven't met Travis yet, he joined us in the fall, and he works with our conduct, behavior intervention, student well-being, and mental health initiative. So that's our team that's either joined recently or has been here in the last year since the last time we all got together. So thank you very much.
So in arts and sciences, we actually have some new people this year. We have 3 new faculty members. In psychology and sociology, we have Dr. Sally Merritt joining us as an assistant professor of psychology. She's just finished her PhD at Tulane, specifically in social psychology. And we have 2 new faculty members who are joining us to work with the under development new communication degree. We have Jonathan Carter. Jonathan comes to us from Eastern Michigan University. He completed his PhD several years ago at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And Ashley Jones may not be here. Ashley comes to us from Georgia State University, where she just recently finished her PhD in communication. And we have 1 new administrative assistant, Linda Singleton in psychology and sociology, retired after many years, and Bunny Byrne is joining us as the administrative assistant in psychology and sociology. And I'm quite certain she's over there manning the desk this afternoon. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Gaynor Chokus, if you can't put a name and a face together. And we do have some new folks over in Koback, as we're affectionately known, and Dr. Saundra Smith. I don't know if she's here with us this afternoon. She was probably in her office working on her syllabi. Oh, there she is, yay, in the back, standing up. Wave again. All right, Saundra will take a position in our accounting group. She will be teaching Accounting 1 and Tax. So lots of fun over there in that little group. She earned her doctorate at Kennesaw State, her master's and her BBA from the University of West Georgia, and she comes to us from Indiana University. Her interests, now get this, guys, you know accountants come from a little different breed. Her interests are in data analytics, auditing, fraud, criminal punishment for tax evasion, and bankruptcy. So, wow, what a lot of exciting things that we have in our accounting department going on. Also, in our Dublin office, for those of you that don't realize that we have a satellite office in Dublin, Georgia, we do, and Dr. Shannon Perry is the coordinator over there, and our assistant dean of external programs, let me get all that title, she has like a 2-page business card now. And Ann Payne has taken on a position, thank you, Ann, as our administrative assistant there, and she comes from a past where she taught high school biology, so she's very good at understanding our students' language when they are first coming to us, and we appreciate that. She works with admissions, transfer, evaluations, and placement with advisors, which is extremely important. We also have Abigail Swindle, and she is coming to us as a newlywed and is one of our absolutely target market individuals. She is in charge of recruitment and retention, and she's already come up with some really good ideas on how to market our program to people who are just like her, wanting to continue their education and also work. And those are our 3 new folks this year. So thank you.
Good afternoon. We have 2 new individuals in the College of Education. First, we have an instructor of education, Dr. Kelsey Evans Amalu. She comes to us from Delta State University. Her PhD is from the University of Central Florida in social studies education. And second, we have Dr. Rachel Talbush. She recently finished her PhD in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in science education. I think I have that right. I'm from the University of Alabama, and she'll be an assistant professor in education. And we also, I was wondering if we had Morgan. We also have an administrative assistant, Morgan Whaley. I don't think Morgan's here. She's also over manning the phones and things, but she began in October of last year. So thank you. Oh, I didn't know. Sorry. Trisha Ferguson. I'm sure she's not here. She's probably not with children now, but she's not here. Trisha Ferguson started in just August 1, and she's a new assistant pre-K teacher. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Teresa Teasley, filling in for Dean Sandra Daniel to introduce our people in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. First, we have Tiffany Aldridge, and Tiffany's right back over to my right. Tiffany is our new Student Services Coordinator for the Master of Science in Nursing program. She actually joined us 1 year ago as the support specialist and moved into this new role this past spring. Second, we have Dr. Martha Dodd, and she couldn't be with us today, but she's Assistant Professor in the Master of Science in Nursing Family Nurse Practitioner program. Dr. Dodd began teaching part-time for us many years ago and joined us full-time this past spring. Next, we have Ms. Connie Hammock, and she's sitting up to my right. Ms. Hammock is our academic advisor in the undergraduate nursing program. She joined us in November of 2017 as our student services coordinator, and she transitioned into our academic advisor position in July. And last but not least, we have Andrea Pinkert, and she's also up on my right. She joined us about 3 months ago as the support specialist for the Master of Science in Nursing program and School of Health Sciences. She came to us from the Rosalind Carter Institute. So we're glad to have these 4 additions to the College of Nursing and Health Sciences.
All right, you guys did a great job of holding your applause until the end. Can I get all those new employees to stand up one more time for us? Stand up. Come on. Welcome. We are excited to have you all with us. As an educational institution, it's always important and appropriate that we recognize and celebrate our own folks who have continued their education. So is there anyone out there that completed a bachelor's degree in the previous year? If you completed a bachelor's degree, will you stand up in the last year? Anyone? There we go. Congratulations. Anybody finish a master's degree in the last year? Master's degree. All right. Is Dr. Michelle Mackey here? These folks have completed their terminal degrees. Is Dr. Ashley Jones here? We heard about some of these people on their introductions. Dr. Sally Merritt. Congratulations. Dr. Rhonda Slocum. Hey. Dr. Rachel Talbush. And Dr. Kelby Lamar. No, Kelby's not here? Well, congratulations to all of you. That is a wonderful accomplishment, one that we all remember well, and we're excited for you and proud of you. Last week, on Thursday, to be exact, I was having a really good day. Many of us had been working together that morning on the post-pandemic working brunch. And then after lunch, Christy and I were headed to Macon to pick up her new car. And that's always a fun day when you pick up a new car, right? It's fun, exciting. And on the way, I got an email from our System Executive Vice Chancellor, Tracy Cook. Tracy wanted all the presidents to know that the Federal Education Department had just released the final portion of the third round of the Higher Education Emergency Relief Funding, and she sent us the distribution for all 26 schools in the system. So, of course, I opened it and I looked real fast at what Georgia Southwestern had received, and we had been awarded an additional $225,000. And that had pushed our three-round total to just over $6 million in federal funding. And anytime that we get an additional $225,000, or any time that we collect a bunch of money that equals $6 million, that should be a pretty good day. But then I made a mistake. I decided to look a little further up the chart to see what another school had received. It's a school not far from here, a school with roughly twice as many students as we have. And when I saw that they had received $33 million, pushing their total over $80 million, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was mad. I texted all the vice presidents. I texted my family. I texted another USG president. Now, I was smart enough to not text Tracy Cook. I take some credit for not being a complete idiot. But I wanted other people to be mad with me. I wanted other people to feel sorry for us. I kept thinking, can you imagine what we could do with $80 million. And after a few minutes, Christy will probably tell you it was about an hour, I looked at her and realized that I was ruining what should have been a very fun day for her. It was exciting to pick up a new car. But instead of being thankful and excited about what we could do at Georgia Southwestern with $6 million, I was pouting. And you know, the worst part about it was that I had zero control over it. It was completely out of my control. And I was acting that way because I was focused on a different institution. I was focused on an institution that I know almost nothing about. And I know we all do that sometimes. Sometimes we lose sight of what we are doing. We forget about the accomplishments that we have, and we compare ourselves to others. I think Facebook is probably the worst place to compare your vacation to other people's. Right? Everybody does better than you do. Or somebody does. There's always somebody. So, with Christy's help, I got back to thinking about what we can do. I got back to thinking about how great this place is. And so at the meeting today, I want to try to turn our attention away from the negatives, away from the fear of COVID, away from the challenges that we have in the budget, away from things that are beyond our control. And I want us to not compare ourselves to other institutions. Instead, I want to focus on the incredible work that is going on here at GSW, the work that you are doing, the work that you do to change people's lives, and the work that you do to make this an absolutely incredible place to be. So I'm going to start telling you about some of the things that are happening here. I may not stop for a while, so get ready. Here are some individual accomplishments. Dr. Teresa Teasley in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences served on the Healthcare Partnership Steering Committee focusing on high-demand health careers. She also spoke at a statewide COVID pandemic forum. Dr. Sandra Daniel, Dean of the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, serves on the Southwest Georgia Area Health Educational Center Nursing Workforce Shortage Task Force. Dr. Elizabeth Gernack in the College of Arts and Sciences serves as the project lead for the STEM 4 grant, which is in its third and final year. Over the first 2 years, members of the team have developed 2 recitation courses to improve student success in these first semester STEM courses. They also have developed a special section of Math 1111 so that students without credit in Math 1111 may take the course concurrently with Chemistry 1211, thus making it possible for most STEM students to start the important Chem 1211-1212 sequence right away. Dr. Stephanie Harvey, Department Chair in Biology, submitted 146 specimens to the Biodiversity Portal. To date, 72 of these have been designated as research grade. All specimens were from Sumter County and most on the GSW property. Dr. Evan Kutzler, Associate Professor of History, received a grant from Georgia Humanities to build walking tours in Americus in collaboration with Emory University through a smartphone application. Jamie McLennan, Professor of Sociology, Rebecca Short, Assistant Professor of Education, Benjamin Metter, Assistant Professor of Exercise Science, and Irina Titova, Assistant Professor in Business, all completed the USG Chancellor Scholars Program. Debbie Palmer, Associate Professor of Psychology, completed the USG Governor's Teaching Fellows Program. Darcy Donaldson, GSW Golf Coach, was named Southeast Region Coach of the Year for the third time. And just as an aside, our golf team finished number 2 in the country, finished second place. They lost the national championship, unfortunately, by just 1 stroke. We had the Peach Belt Conference Male Scholar Athlete of the Year in Tucker Smith. And our history graduate, Quentin Folks, class of 2012, was recently named the campaign manager for U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock's re-election effort. Here's some campus accomplishments. Enrollment last fall was up 7.4% to 3,162 students. That was the most improved enrollment in our sector and the 5th highest among the 16 schools in the system that had an enrollment increase. Enrollment was up 3.2% last spring. That was 2nd in our sector and 4th overall of the 11 schools in our system that had enrollment growth in the spring. Enrollment was up 10.6% in this summer semester. That was the highest enrollment increase of any school in the entire university system of Georgia. And there were only 8 schools that saw any enrollment growth at all in the summer. Graduate enrollment was up more than 25% in the spring and summer. And I got to say, the education, what we saw happen in education with the specialist degree and the master's degree was incredible. How many, 200 and something in a class? 226 people in one class? How many teachers? 4 teachers, 226 people. That's pretty good. Yeah, 55 or 60 apiece. No problem. Great work. Incredible. As of this afternoon, the returning undergraduate retention is even compared to the fall of 2020, indicating that our university's retention efforts are progressing beyond the freshman year into the sophomore, junior, and senior years. Our undergraduate retention rate is improving dramatically. Last year, our retention rate last year, and you got to think about what the group we're talking, the freshmen that came in, that we kicked out of the residence halls in March and shifted them into an online format on a week's notice, halfway through their second semester. Our retention rate with that group was 65.6%. A slight dip from the 68% we had the year before with an unaffected class. But compared to the previous low of 61.6% just 2 years before, that's an incredible work. David, we're expecting that to be a little higher this year, right? Of course. Always say yes at this meeting. It's way high. We had 92 of our student athletes make the Peach Belt Conference honor roll. This summer, we had 28 faculty members participate, and we had 5 faculty facilitators participate in the Tilt Summer Series, transforming course materials to become more transparent through the Tilt process. We launched a new GSW website, and we have increased our reach on social media by thousands. Do you all realize that on LinkedIn we have over 10,000 connections? Just on LinkedIn alone. Donations to the GSW Foundation increased by more than 88%. Major gifts increased by 14%, and the foundation provided more than $1 million in scholarship support to our students. Our IT department replaced all the network switches in the individual buildings to take advantage of the high-speed capacity of our network core and firewall. They are installing 10 gigabyte connections between the buildings to increase the speed of the campus network traffic. They are installing additional indoor wireless access points to address any gaps or weak coverage within our buildings. We purchased 100 new computers for faculty and staff, purchased hardware to upgrade 50 existing faculty and staff computers. We updated the technology in 26 classrooms. We opened Canes Central. We opened the baseball and softball indoor practice facility, and you can now ride up and down on the English elevator until your heart is content. I'm just getting started. You know, this past spring, as we were starting to see the impact of the pandemic, and it was obviously impacting our budgets, our technology, our facilities, our programs, our recruitment, and most importantly, it was affecting our students. They were being challenged, they were being changed. And so I called together the post-pandemic task force to evaluate what was happening and to begin the process of redefining Georgia Southwestern so that we could better prepare for and invest in the future that will soon be here, if it's not already. And this group did outstanding work. And some of you have heard about this work. Some of you helped us last week start to think about ways that you can implement these concepts across the campus. The most significant part of their work was to more clearly define the GSW experience, what it will be post-pandemic, what it will be for all students who choose to attend. You know, much like our tilted classrooms, our goal is to be more transparent with students and their families during the recruitment process so that they know exactly what they are choosing. The GSW experience, as the task force defined it, is built on a foundation of excellent academic programs and three defining elements that really set us apart. The first, and I like the P's, so I'm going to start with people, but some people like connections. It's the people that work here, the connections you make that help define your experience at the university. The second defining element is purpose or character. It's the opportunities you have to develop your own purpose for your life, to build your own character, to define who you are individually, that makes this a unique and special place. And the third element of the GSW experience is about your profession or your career, and making sure that you are prepared not for a job, but for a career, for a lifelong profession, so that you can grow as your opportunities grow. You see, our work going forward is to more purposefully and more powerfully bring these three elements together to make the GSW experience more valuable. But we're not starting from scratch. So let me highlight a few of the activities that are already happening here at GSW that help define these elements. The first is people. Bob, can you play that video for us?
In 2018, we introduced a new tradition here at the university. We introduced these challenge coins stolen from United States military tradition. But we asked students to accept these coins as freshmen. And I told them that when they graduated, that I'd replace their new silver coin with a gold coin that would recognize and designate their connection to the university, and they could keep it with them forever. But the silver coin had a special purpose, and the challenge to them was to go through Georgia Southwestern, go through their career, and to think about the people who made a difference in their time at the university. And before they left the university, I wanted them to take their silver coin and give it to somebody who made a difference in their time at GSW. Somebody who invested in their success, somebody who made a difference in their life, somebody who they looked up to, admired, respected. That's starting to happen. This past graduation, our first 10 students graduated, and they passed out their silver coin. And this video is really about their story, what that coin meant to them, and what it means to the people that received the coin.
I'm a recent college graduate from GSW. I come from a very beautiful hometown called Kathmandu, Nepal, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer science. I met Miss Rose in summer of 2019. This was when all of my friends were already gone back home and I was here by myself. I was a little bit homesick and a little bit food sick. I miss the food a lot. And I always saw Miss Rose cleaning downstairs, and initially it was just hi and hello, but later on she started asking me about my family and we started making conversation, and that is when I think we started becoming close. And she was just like my grandma. She's my American grandma. So when it was time to give away my silver coin, I knew it had to be Miss Rose because she's made a huge impact in my life and made me feel at home here in America. And I would like to take this time to thank Miss Rose and all of the staff for everything that they do, and including making huge impacts on students' lives.
I recently graduated from Georgia Southwestern State University with a Bachelor's of Arts in History with an education minor, and I chose to give my silver coin to Dr. Susan Bragg. I came in as an undecided student, so I was placed in a random or undecided University 1000 class, and I didn't feel like I belonged. And then I met Dr. Susan Bragg at a fair of some sorts that we had to go to, and I expressed to her what my interests were and how I wanted to do history, and she, within 3 hours or something, she had me move to her University 1000 class. And I knew then, it was still fresh on my brain about having the silver coin. I knew instantly I was going to give my silver coin to Dr. Susan Bragg, and I put that coin in a place that I knew I would remember for the rest of my college journey. And she not only helped me grow as a student, but as a leader and mentor to my future students. But in the classroom, Dr. Bragg was not just a professor, she was a mentor. She taught us not only the curriculum or whatever is the subject she was teaching, but life lessons, how to become a better person. She was somebody that had my back and supported me even when I didn't think I was gonna make it. And with her encouragement, I was able to graduate in 3 years with honors. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm so thankful for the challenges and the encouragement that she gave me.
At the end of the spring, Carlos Hernandez, who's a management student, came into my office, and it was a big surprise to me, but he actually awarded me the special coin that he gets from Dr. Weaver when he starts the program here at GSW. And I was always very fond of Carlos. He's a great student. But one of the things he shared with me is the fact that I took a lot of extra time with Carlos, around the subject matter and around helping him with his resume and interviewing for jobs, was part of the reason why he awarded me with that coin. And personally, that means the world to me. As a professor, one of the things that really hit me with Carlos giving me that coin is, English is his second language. And the fact that, I spent that time with him apparently, made a big deal in Carlos's life. And I try to build a good relationship with all my students, but I think in Carlos's case in particular, I really was able to connect with him, and even though it may have taken a little extra time out of my schedule, it really wasn't a big deal to me, but apparently, to him, it absolutely meant the world. And, I love having students like Carlos.
And so this challenge is for all of us to think about the people in our lives who make a difference. The people that invest in us, who we should thank more often. And so I hope that this symbol that we give to the freshmen also can become a symbol for all of us, to not forget the people who make a difference in our daily lives, who make a difference in our careers, who make a difference in our families, who make a difference in our communities, the people that we should, from time to time, stop and say thank you.
This year, that first class that got their silver coins, this is when they're going to really start graduating. That was the first 10. Those were the overachievers that got out of here in 3 years. So this year, you'll start to see more coins when we get closer to graduation. I hope you get one. I hope everybody gets one. Now, don't go pushing each other out of the way and talking bad about each other so you'll get a coin. But I think that really shows us the power of who we are and the difference that we can make in our students' lives. And I know there's a couple of the folks here who got a coin. Would you stand up if you received a coin? Dr. Bergen? Yep. Yep. Congratulations. When I talked to the incoming freshmen at Storm Day and the parents, I tell them I don't know who it's going to be at this university. I don't know if it'll be a faculty member, a staff member. I have no idea. But somebody at this institution will make a difference in their students' lives. And I think what we're seeing through that video is that all of us make a difference. And we all have the ability to make a difference for our students. So as we think about people in the first pillar of the GSW experience, let me tell you some of the things we're doing to help move that forward. Dr. Susan Bragg and Michaela Barlow will be taking over the President Jimmy Carter Leadership Program, and they kicked off the third class, the third cohort of the President Jimmy Carter Leadership Program with a 2-day retreat earlier this past week. Dr. Ramona Mullins Foreman was appointed as the new Director of Family Nurse Practitioner Program. The Division of Student Engagement and Success launched a new retention initiative for African American males, a living learning community called the Brotherhood. The College of Business and Computing launched a new advisory board with a kickoff dinner last spring, and this is how they described it before the post-pandemic task force announced what we were doing. This is how they described it. bringing community leaders together with students as mentors, coaches, and role models, building connections with people, and helping students find their sense of purpose and career preparation. Sounds familiar. Dr. Judy Orton-Grissett, as you've heard, has been named GSW's first full-time experiential learning coordinator. Those are just some of the people that are in positions to impact students' lives and students' careers. So let's talk about purpose. What are we doing to help students define their purpose, to build their character? Faculty and students from the nursing program served our community throughout the region by administering COVID vaccinations. Any idea how many you guys gave, Teresa? Any idea how many people did it? $50 or more students went out into the community, into hospitals, and gave vaccination shots. That's terrific. Student engagement and success hosted the first one at an off-site location, extended orientation program called Thunder Camp for 60 freshmen. Thunder Camp was led by 20 counselors, student counselors, 6 what they called clouds, student setup crew, and 3 student directors. And I said this the other morning, Thunder Camp is really about helping the freshmen come into the university, find connections on campus. But what we saw happen among the student leaders, the counselors, the clouds, was unbelievable. They developed their own leadership and their own purpose for their work. So it's not just about the freshmen. Providing these opportunities also helps all the students involved. Our residential and campus life hosted a series of racism and diversity education programs with nationally recognized experts, Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh and Jen Fry. Be the Change Week was held in January to celebrate and honor Martin Luther King Jr. through service and education. And students participated in a trip to Montgomery, Alabama, to the National Memorial for Peace and Justice and the Legacy Slavery Museum. Canes Leading Canes program was initiated and consisted of 39 students entering leadership roles as residential leaders, storm spotters, set team members, and Thunder Camp. The Canes Leading Canes program completed a semester-long leadership course focused on servant leadership. The President Jimmy Carter Leadership Program had 31 students that logged over 1,664 service hours during the 2021 academic year. Georgia Southwestern student athletes finished 4th out of 311 Division II schools in documented community service hours performed in the NCAA Teamwork Challenge. And these are just a few. And you know there's more, and you know which ones you're involved in. But the opportunity to help students define themselves, define their purpose, build their character, that's a critical element of the GSW experience. The third is about profession, or preparing for your career. In the spring semester of 2021, Dr. Evan Kutzler's History 2500 study of history students built a website. If you want to go there, it's www.influenzainamericas.com, and an exhibit for the James Earl Carter Library on the local experience of the 1918-1919 influenza pandemic. Students in the spring of 2022 will revise and expand on the existing website. Baseball player Matthew Mamadis received an NCAA degree completion scholarship providing full tuition and fees due to his outstanding performance in the classroom and in the community. This summer, It says I think it was probably Judy and Dr. Smith, created the digital marketing internship and already have one student working this semester with 2 area businesses to assist with digital marketing, including web content generation and social media management. In the upcoming semesters, students for marketing, communications, and professional writing will work with community partners throughout the region to assist with their digital marketing needs. Athletics launched the Hurricanes program. Hurricanes, a professional development program for our female student athletes. Our undergraduate Bachelor of Science degree in nursing received national accreditation through the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. And our graduate program in nursing had a successful campus review, and we'll hear next month about their accreditation. And the College of Business and Computing introduced the entrepreneurship certificate. Those are the things those are just things that got to me, that we're doing to help students prepare for their career, for their profession. See, it's not that we have to do anything different than what we have been doing. We just need to be more intentional about communicating across division and department lines, and we need to find exciting new ways to partner and collaborate to take these efforts to a whole new level of success. The GSW Experience, it already exists, but we do it in our isolated work. And our challenge is to come together and find ways to amplify what makes us special, what makes us unique, what makes us a reason for a student to choose GSW. So, that was a long list of accomplishments and things that happened just in the last year. And so I want to congratulate all of you for all of those things. And I appreciate the work that goes in to making all of these good news items happen. And I hope that we have just as many to report next year. And I have no doubt that we will. So as we look ahead, what does this year have in store for us? We are going to continue to invest in campus facilities. We will open the renovated Flory Chapel Gymnasium sometime between October and February. We have a bet on this deal. We are going to reopen the Gsw swimming pool as soon as we can hire some student lifeguards. We'll have that open again. We are going to renovate the English building restrooms. That should get a whole lot of applause because I've been in those restrooms and they are questionable. We are going to replace the fine arts interior lighting. And this just released system capital request. Mike, this is where I'm talking to you. The system capital request for the first time in 2 years included a project for Georgia Southwestern, $4.9 million small cap project for our Carter Library renovation. And so we are going to try to push that through. And with Mike's help, we have no doubt it will happen. We are going to get back on the road and recruit again. Yeah. We spent all year last year without the opportunity to have college fairs. We didn't get in a single high school last year to recruit students. We are going to use the SAT and the ACT test scores to admit students into our school. That's not really so important for us, but those schools above us at Ncaa and Georgia Southern, they're going to have to abide by the rules and quit taking all of our students. Last year we started the University College. We took over for South Georgia State College, who was doing that on our campus for us. We have 97 students registered for that program. We were approved for 100. So we got 3 spots left. But we had to, at the end of 2 years, we had to give them a report, how we were doing, how the students were doing, could we get 100 students in the program. So I'm quite comfortable that our report is going to be positive, that we got 100 students in it. Our retention in the program is very, very good. And I think we're going to be able to expand that program. I want to thank Darcy Bragg for her leadership of the University College and their efforts to open the doors for more students. And that will become more important as the ACT and the SAT become in use again. That will be an important pathway for some of our students. We are going to launch new academic programs. The bachelor's degree in communications will be approved at the September Board of Regents meeting. And we already have hired 2 faculty members to get that up and running, and we're very excited about having that on campus. The associate's degree in nursing was approved in May, and we have to wait a year for some odd reason. We have to wait a year, but we will launch the new associate's degree in nursing starting next summer or fall, and that will be 40 additional opportunities for students to begin their career in nursing. Where's Gaynor? We will launch the Executive MBA program this year. And next fall, we will welcome the first cohort of Chinese students from Joko Normal University to campus to complete their degree as a part of our partnership with Joko Normal. We will spend some time planning for the future. Our current strategic plan was approved in 2017. It was a 5-year plan, so it runs out at the end of this academic year. And so all of you have now been drafted onto the Strategic Planning Committee. And Dr. Smith is going to chair that committee for us. So if you are really, really wanting to do this work, ask her. And I'm sure she'll have a spot for you. I see everybody's running up. They're already taking notes. They're running as fast as they can. We will also begin preparations for our SACS COC reaccreditation. We are in the class of 2024, right, Brian? And I think we go to Dallas this December to begin our work officially toward that reaccreditation. And a part of that reaccreditation will be selecting a new QEP, Quality Enhancement Plan or program, or I don't know what's the P for? Plan, Quality Enhancement Plan. And that requires all of us to be engaged in the process. And so those 2 items will take a lot of our energy this year. So we have a lot to do, a lot of exciting things that will happen this year. This is going to be a really good year. Now, usually at this meeting, I talk about the budget. But as I started to make notes, it was pretty clear that our budget right now is very complicated. More complicated than I could communicate to you accurately or well. And so with state funds, federal emergency relief funds, changes to tuition and fees, refunds to students, direct payments to students, I thought it would be better if I just wrote it all down, and I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you in an email later today. That way you can read it multiple times, I'm sure. You can see the numbers. You can develop questions. And then later this month, we'll have a virtual town hall meeting focused on the budget, so that if you have specific questions or if you need or want more information about the university's budget, I'll be happy to share them with you. And so that message will be coming out tonight, and I look forward to that conversation. Of course, there are some system initiatives. What year would be complete without some system initiatives? Cybersecurity will continue to be a significant concern, and I get that we don't like to take the security test twice a year. Twice a year, you got to take it. I don't know, it's not much fun. I'm getting to where I know the answer, so I think we're going to mix up the questions. So anyway, but I tell you, we do not want to be an institution that gets added to the list of people that have to pay a ransom to get our computers back on. And so it's important. It's important for us. It's important for our students to know that their information is protected. So that will continue to be an important thing that we work on. Redefining the core curriculum will happen. COVID kind of set it back a year, maybe 18 months, but I'm pretty confident we're going to start to hear about that again, and you will hear about that again throughout this year. The momentum approach is not going away, and it shouldn't. The work we've done has led to great results here at GSW and across the system. More students are graduating, more students are being retained. It's working. And the items that we have, the thoughts that we have, the work that we're doing along the momentum approach are terrific, and I'm very excited about that continuing. Post-tenure review. The system has revised the post-tenure review policy, and with the system revision of the policy, the university now must revise its policy to be in alignment with the University System of Georgia. And so you will hear more about that. And I think Dr. Smith might be talking about that here in just a few seconds. And of course, the system will be selecting a new chancellor at some point this year, we hope. I have no news. So this is going to be good. It's going to be a good year. I'm excited about what's happening. I'm most excited about what you all have accomplished. And when we don't worry about what everybody else is doing, when we keep our eye on our goals, when we think about what our students need, when we commit ourselves to making this a great university, we can do incredible things. We have unbelievable people. And I know because you guys work harder than anybody else in our system. You guys do incredible things, and we ask almost the impossible. And you do it every day. You do it. We help students define themselves. We help them build their character. And we are continuing to add more and more opportunities for students to really have that experience. And I hear every day, and Angela, I know you hear every day from our alumni, they are ready for their careers. They are ready for their jobs. Every one of you out there can talk to or talk about graduates of our institution who are doing incredible things, who are doing great work. So we have all the pieces. And so this year, we're going to start bringing that together. And when we go out and talk about this university, we're going to talk about what a great place this is and why students and their families should choose Georgia Southwestern for their educational opportunities. So let's be excited about what we're doing. Let's be excited about what can happen here. We got $6 million to spend. For us, that's a heck of a lot of money. And we're going to do some fun things with it. And we're going to have a good time. So I thank you for what you've done. I thank you for what you're going to do. And I look forward to a very exciting academic year. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you for making GSW a really special place. I'm going to ask our provost, Dr. Smith, to wrap up with a couple of items and then dismiss us, I hope, to a reception.
All right, so because I'm the only thing standing between you and a reception, I'm going to be very brief. I know that we are all tired of talking about the pandemic, and we look forward to the day when we can come together and not have to talk about how it's impacting our operations here on campus and in our lives, but we haven't quite reached that point yet. And so because of that, I just want to mention a few things in addition to what Dr. Weaver has already shared. He did remind us that we do follow the rules that are set forward for us through the University System of Georgia. He's already talked about the fact that we can't change our modality of our classes, that our students have been promised an experience here on campus, and it's our job to ensure that they get that experience. But I do want to remind you that if a student does test positive and they share that information with you, please ask them to complete the online reporting form at gsw.edu/COVID report. You can also feel free to have them send any questions that they might have to covid@gsw.edu. Contact tracing, if it's needed, will be conducted by the Office of Student Engagement and Success, so you don't have to take care of doing that for yourself. So, while the pandemic has consumed much of our time and energy over the last 18 months, we still have moved forward, and as Dr. Weaver has pointed out, we've accomplished great things in our last year together. The USG has also been hard at work over the last year as well, and so I'd like to talk about, just very briefly, the task force that Dr. Weaver mentioned on the post-tenure review process. So Dr. Denley presented some recommendations to the Board of Regents just last week, and their recommendations will then impact our system. I think we'll probably hear about this within the next month or two. But just so that you have a brief overview of what they're talking about, so every tenured faculty member will continue to have a review every 5 years, but now they must go through a corrective review if they are evaluated as performing unsatisfactorily in either overall performance or in one of the particular areas for 2 consecutive years. So as a part of this process, the Board of Regents is going to enact system-level guidelines and standards for all faculty reviews and will ensure that campus policies and standards conform with system requirements. So the system does plan to regularly review and monitor and audit our institutional review practices to ensure that we are all consistent with the Board of Regents' guidelines and statements. So I'll have more information for you about that as it's rolled out for us. But those are the primary changes that I wanted to be sure that you are aware of. But in the spirit of starting the year off on a positive note, not only do we have a lot to celebrate, as Dr. Weaver noted, but we also have a lot to look forward to, as he said as well. I've been lucky to spend some time with our incoming freshmen over the last few days, and they are extremely excited to be here. So again, special thanks to our staff and the Student Engagement and Success, as well as people all over campus. They are working exceptionally hard to make sure that our students have an extraordinary introduction to our campus. And you can see the work that they're done, the effort that they've put forward, and the excitement on our students' faces. So please be sure you thank them as you see them over the next few days. Each year, I ask the incoming freshmen to send me an email, their very first homework assignment at GSW. They have to send me their name, where they're from, what their major is, and 3 goals that they have while they're here at GSW. I use that information to develop my comments for convocation, but I thought this year I would share some of those results for you so that you can hear what our incoming students, which is almost 400 students, have on their mind as they start the year. As you would expect, many of them mention wanting to graduate, to do so in 4 years, and to be well prepared for their jobs in graduate school. Those of you that are preparing classes will be happy to hear that almost 80% of them mention wanting to get good grades, and many of them go so far as to say that they want to get all A's or make the dean's and president's list. This is the most common thread among all of our freshmen, and it was the same last year as well. I mention this so that you know that they are eager to do well, that they mention that they are willing to put in the effort and hard work that they know is necessary to succeed, and that they're excited to learn from you, and they're planning to give you their very best. I also love that the next two things that they talk about have to do with making friends and getting involved on campus. More than 70% say something about wanting to meet new people, and they don't want to just meet new people. They want to meet their lifelong friend, their best friend that they're going to have for the rest of their life. And I love this goal because it was true for me. I didn't know it was a goal when I started college, but my best friends now are people that I met in college. So GSW is a place where we can help make that goal come true for them and make it happen for them, and I look forward to seeing all the ways that you help our students reach this goal over the year. The third most common goal was getting more involved on campus, and I love this goal because it's something that every single person that works on this campus contributes to in some way. Whether it's a social club, an academic club, whether it's undergraduate research with a faculty member, or being a student worker, or helping a student be a leader on campus. There's something for everyone here on campus, and because of each of you that are here today, they're looking to us to help them reach that goal, and I know that we can be successful at that. So as we do the work of the university, both inside and outside of the classroom, think about these students and the things that they're saying that they want from us, and the goals and dreams that they have for themselves. Think about how they're relying on you to help them reach those goals, and to help them have an incredible experience here at GSW. I'm really hopeful about the semester and the year ahead. I'm excited to see the types of things that each of you are going to do to enrich our students' lives and to help our freshman class flourish and grow, and all of our other students as they strive for their goals. And I also look forward to seeing the role that Tilt is going to play in all of our success and the things that we do, both in and out of the classroom. I just want to thank you again for all that you do to ensure that GSW is a special place, a place where students experience growth in the classroom with their friends and the communities, inside and outside of the classroom. This is a special place because of people like you. I hope that you'll remember that as we keep our focus and as we move forward this year. I want to thank you for attending our August Assembly this year, and I hope that you will join us in the rotunda of the Wheatley Administration Building as we welcome our new faculty and staff. Go Canes.